Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm your host, Pattsun, and today we're gonna be taking a look at r/divorce, where OP is married to a level 100 gaslighter. Let's begin. I'm divorcing my cheating wife with our newborn baby. Posted by Reddit user PossibleOven6879.
Throw away for obvious reasons. I am in desperate need of some advice. I am looking to divorce my wife due to the events that have taken place over the course of the past 6 months. To be honest, it goes further back, but these past 6 months have solidified it. Let's start with that my wife was pregnant about 4 months ago, and I overheard my in-laws around 2 a.m. in the living room say, well, what is she going to do about the baby? She just needs to be honest with him. I confronted my wife the next morning and she denied they would ever say any of that. She was so certain that she talked me into believing that there was a possibility I was hearing voices. Now, normally I would dismiss this obviously because I knew what I heard. But at the time I was dealing with some possible tumor issues that could spark hallucinations. That ended up not being the case, but at the time I did accept this narrative I was hearing things. Moving on, about a month later, I had to try and close the chapter on something that happened in the past with my wife and one of my friends. I have known she cheated on me, but I wanted to just close the chapter and move on because we were about to have a child. Well, she denied the entire thing once again, even though I had clear-cut evidence of it happening. This threw me through a tailspin, and I ended up spiraling a bit and drinking and doing cocaine for a few weeks. During this time, my wife started telling our friends that I was having severe mental health issues, delusions, hallucinations, etc. This led to police being called. I've had to have psychiatrists' evaluations, etc. This is when things get really bad. I found a micro SD card hidden away that has backups of encrypted videos and images and is password protected. I end up getting past the barriers and find evidence she has been cheating on me a lot more than I thought. It goes back 10 to 13 years, multiple men. This obviously sends my mental health through the ringer. I've already got health issues and now I'm questioning if this child is even mine. Flash forward, we have the baby and I kind of just get distracted from all the other stuff for a month or so because we have a new baby. Just recently, I find evidence she has been talking to this guy she hooked up with for years back in 2011 to 2013. And I believe they have been seeing each other for the last 3 years. He's got a wife and kids as well. This brings me to looking at the dates of conception of our child. Unsurprisingly to some maybe, I find that the possible dates of conception for our boy is basically impossible for me to be the father. Not only did we not have sex during this time, but she was away on a girls' trip during those dates. Now, she did go on a girls' trip, it's just it started 4 days after she originally left. So ultimately she did both, went on a trip with this guy then on a girls' trip. So this is kind of where I'm at. My mental health in a completely shot. I thought I was a father, I thought I had a loving wife, and now both those things are completely gone. I'm broken in ways words can't describe, but I know I need to focus on what to do next. Obviously step 1 is going to get a paternity test, but how should I approach divorce? Also, I'm seriously considering civil suit because I don't joke when I say my mental health and quality of life has shattered. She convinced me I was hearing voices, told doctors I was delusional, told all our friends I was delusional, all to basically destroy any credibility I had. So now anytime I even mention anything, it's immediately met with "you must be having an episode." I feel so utterly stupid that I've kept my head in the sand all these years and I've let myself get into this situation. But I need help. I need advice because if I'm being honest, I have nobody right now and it feels very lonely. Any advice or ways I should move forward would be greatly appreciated. Thanks.
So normally I would be giving my opinions or advice at this point, but I think this comment from Lil Advice Bunny pretty much sums it up. So let's check it out.
Please take this in the spirit that it's intended. A bit of black humor to make you smile. Wow, an actual case of gaslighting. Congratulations, you win a prize. Unfortunately, it's a shitty prize. While what she did was horrible, I'm not sure that pursuing a case for mental anguish or the like is actually a good idea. That sort of thing tends not to work out, as the threshold for legal action is quite high. If you can afford it, do talk to a lawyer and describe the kind of things she's done, the effect they've had on you, and what sort of proof you might have available to see if there's a possible case. If nothing else, telling the story to someone might help you settle it in your mind. It can feel good to let it out. However, your first priority right now has to be taking care of yourself, and that means getting out of this marriage with as little damage as possible. Beating yourself against a brick wall trying to get justice if it's not practical will only do you more harm. First steps: IMO, talk with a local lawyer. Find out if there is anything specific that you definitely need to do before leaving the home. There are disadvantages to leaving the home in some circumstances, but considering that this woman is literally driving you over the edge, you need to get out ASAP. So you need to make a plan to get yourself out of the home. Second step: find out how to test and challenge paternity. A home test may give you an answer, but it may not hold up in court. The official route is probably more expensive, but if you're pretty sure it needs doing, you might want to start there. Establish a safe space for yourself that she does not have access to. Talk to a therapist, one who has never had contact with your wife, to help get your feet back under you. You need to recenter so that you can plan. Sorry this is happening to you.
And now for today's second story. My mother and I are currently not on speaking terms due to a huge argument over the inheritance. Posted by Reddit user Unicorn Are Alive.
My father has drawn up an inheritance contract to regulate his assets in the event of his death. My father is retired. My mother has been a housewife all her life. They live off my father's small state pension. Are homeowners, mortgage not paid off, and my father has invested his pension with a partner in 2 rental properties. One does okay, one not too great. They are regular middle-class folks. My mother has been financially dependent on my father all her life. She has never filled out a tax return, doesn't know how online banking works or what it means to pay bills. She has no idea about personal finances. In the first draft, in case of my father's death, my mother should receive all the assets to finance her living, which is perfectly fine with me. However, I was defined as an administrative caretaker. That means I would have to take care of her finances, her bills, managing the properties, filling out tax returns, etc. Since she lacks the knowledge to do so, I was hesitant because I did not feel equipped for this task and sought legal advice. After consulting with a lawyer, I wanted to share my worries and concerns with my parents. Yes, the assets should go to my mom. However, I do not necessarily want to take the role of her financial assistant, so to speak. After all, my parents could have ensured earlier that my mother would also take responsibility for her money. In addition, on the advice of the lawyer, I wanted to define in the contract that I would be defined as an heiress in the event of my mother's death. This was my parents' plan either way, but I wanted to have it written down because I am worried that my mother could be negatively influenced by dubious advisors or shitty family members in her old age. I'm an only child. My inputs led to an enormously emotional argument. My father can be very stubborn, doesn't like to be talked into it. My mother feels I am a bad daughter, and I don't feel perceived as an adult person. I just want to protect myself legally and have my concerns taken seriously. My parents should do what they want with their assets. However, I do not want to draw any disadvantages from it. For several weeks, my mother has not responded to any messages in the family chat. All the communication goes through my dad. I'm scared of calling her since I know it will get emotional. Sometimes I can't be bothered either because I'm so angry and disappointed. I have discussed the whole thing in therapy and with my partner, and I am getting encouragement. But I constantly wonder if I am the only asshole here. Advice is appreciated. TLDR, my parents and I don't agree on the details of the inheritance contract. I sought legal advice and shared my concerns, but was not taken seriously. My father is stubborn. My mother no longer speaks to me.
OP, what you're worried about and what you're asking for is completely reasonable. Now, I'm not sure where you live or what financial laws are in your area, but in my country, you cannot be forced to be someone's financial assistant, even if they are your parents. You can just refuse and not do it. I would imagine that she'll start talking to you again at some point. And if I were you, I would decide what you're willing and unwilling to do and just tell them that, man. Hold strong to your boundaries. I mean, your mom is only 62. That is very young. She can still learn about technology. She can still learn about the processes of life. I mean, my uncle is older than that, and one of his favorite hobbies is making ridiculous TikTok videos. True story, ladies and gentlemen. Look, OP, she could easily live another 20 to 30 years. That's more than enough time to learn financial literacy. Good luck, man. Viewer support is the best way for me to remain independent and continue bringing you these daily videos, which will always be here on my channels for you to watch absolutely free. So please consider subscribing to me on Rumble and on YouTube. Both will be linked in the description box down below. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you even somewhat enjoyed today's story, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you really like it, consider subscribing to Pattsun to never miss a future upload. Stay strong.